just the other day.
Oh, were you really?
I didn't go in because it opened the day after I left, but it is cool. The sphere, it is
Yeah.
cool.
Everybody says if we're, it'll not get, if we're not use the balance
motion
of-
sickness.
motion sickness, you'll get sick.
In Vegas, the sphere, it's huge. And it was cool. Like you're sitting there in our room, I was in the Venetian, I could see it. And it's like, all of a sudden there's this giant eyeball looking at you. And then the next thing is like a giant smiley face. And then it was weird. It was really weird. They had some cool ones with
you
jellyfish
guys
and
slow?
spaceships and stuff. And one time it looked like the
Street,
moon.
or are you guys always busy, like all year round?
The word
Is there any like slow periods?
Since like July, I
because it's so
really busy,
Okay.
like stupid busy,
picture of
like every week.
whatever.
We're just like, oh, somebody to do this for another 8 hours more than what we have scheduled.
Happy birthday, Mom.
That was our slow time.
All right, Bob, you are ready to go when you are.
I'm ready. Thank you, Heather. So welcome everybody to the October 4th, 2023 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. We always start out with a pledge of allegiance, so we'll do that quick and then we'll go through the rest of this.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. A couple quick housekeeping things. We'll have a lot of applications tonight, so it's going to go through. Sometimes it might seem a little slow. We're asking questions for a reason. It's important to everybody here and all our neighbors. We're going to have access if you need it. There's exits on the side here. You can go out through the atrium, either side of the boardroom, and there's also bathrooms on the back side if you need one. That's the closest one. We will. What do we say?
Roll call.
Roll call. We'll start out easy. For Robert Peckham, present. Beth Mossworth,
Here.
John Miglerini,
Here.
Christian Chamberlain,
Here.
Heather Robinson,
Here.
Timothy Harrington,
Present.
Aaron Lehman.
Present.
Could I get a motion from someone for the
Yeah,
this one September's meeting minutes?
Mr. Chairman, in regards to the September 6th, 2023 meeting, I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Seconded by John. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed
Abstain.
and two abstain, Bob and Beth. The motion carries. The minutes are passed. Thank you. So how this works. We will call your application number. When we call your application number, I would ask you to step up to the podium, speak clearly. I want to first hear your name and the address of where you're from. And then we will start to ask you these questions. There may be some back and forth. We'll ask the audience for feedback, things of that nature. If your application is approved, that means that you'll finish the rest of the application process with the appropriate department, the building department. If it's declined, I'm sorry, before that, if it's approved, you'll get all your information in the mail in a handful of days. The office staff does a great job, and that'll be the process you sort of follow through. If it's declined, that's the end of it, and it's not approved in that way. There's other options afterwards, but we can always talk about that another time if needed. So I'm going to start out with 2023-075, Dean Kalen. Welcome back. Good evening.
Dean Kalen, 31 Ward Hill Road.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Heather, you want to start?
Yes, so I know we met in regards to your accessory structure. And it looks like you guys had made some revisions from last meeting to this meeting. Can you explain those changes?
Yes. We moved the barn minimum of 15 feet. It might be closer to 19 to 20, further away from the Richardson's townhome. We made it narrower and we made it shorter. And per our conversation with Carrie and Alan Richardson, we decided that trees would be fine at the rear of the property. We also gave them the option of choosing into color of the rear of the barn because we were going traditional red,
Mhm.
which Charlie had come over and talked, and he had voiced a concern about it really sticking out. And I said I could do it in green if that would be better, and he agreed. He would like to see the whole barn in green. So also Charlie's been great. We had great communications. So I want to honor what he would like to see as well.
Okay.
So now the barn is green. Yeah, we had a really, really good meeting as recommended to contact the Richardsons. It was, best to have some dialogue instead of just maybe emails going back and forth. We actually met them in their parking lot, walked across to the property and
Mhm.
discussed what was going to be happening and where the barn would be going, where the house would be going. So it was a really good meeting.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now on here, you show in the application with the revisions, you show a couple options here. The optional berm and cedar evergreens with stagger plantings for optimal privacy screens, and then optimal lattice with evergreens climbing vegetation for camouflage. Did you guys decide on doing one of those?
Yes. I just wanted to have them be able to choose what they would like to look at, because during winter months, that's what they were going to look at, and they chose the trees. So
Okay.
since I've purchased 20 trees, red western cedars, and explained to her the tree surgeon wants them to go right on the ground. I have text messages with Carrie and she's all for that. Reason being, I got 10-foot trees, we were looking at 3-foot originally, but we spent the extra money to
Mhm.
expedite the privacy.
Okay.
They grow 2 to 3 feet a year. So I even been in contact with her because I put a temporary container in the back to water the trees. And she was very grateful and thankful that I'm communicating with her. I said, the minute my tree surgeon says no longer needed to be watered, it will be removed. So
Okay.
we've been in good communication.
Okay. Very cool.
Any other questions?
I don't have any further questions. So it seems like you did, and as we requested, put in an example of the storage of the barn.
Correct.
Okay. And is that how you determined the smaller size of the barn, or?
Yes. And that doesn't depict miscellaneous tools.
Yeah.
That's a pretty neat looking visual you have there. Maybe not quite realistic and definitely have more than what is shown there.
Mhm.
But yes.
I will note that I appreciate that you took the time. Your vintage tractor is actually a picture of a vintage tractor. I know you took the extra moment to find the right picture. Well done.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And also worth noting, is it still true that in one of the images, it shows that you're actually redesigning the house to have a larger garage? which is what-
Absolutely.
Okay.
So that's why we had the drawings made for a 2-car garage, because I was having a 40 by 60 barn. Since I lost square footage there, one of my antique cars is going to have to go up in, so we're adding a 3rd bay is what's
Great.
happening. That's why that image isn't available, because it's after everything's approved, it'll go back to be revised at the architect.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, this is, you've made a lot of changes and we appreciate it. I think your neighbors appreciate it tremendously.
They
too.
do. They
And I
do.
think this is a big piece of the need for the zoning board and making sure that everybody, doesn't all of a sudden get something totally out of, I'm not saying it was out of line, but in their eyes, out of line for their neighborhood and things line up well and it creates friendlier neighbors, I believe. So thank you for taking these extra steps at a cost, and I appreciate that. Any more questions from board members?
I do not have any further questions.
Are there any questions from members of the audience? Okay, one moment. And Heather, just real quick, is there anybody online too?
I have some applicants, but no residents at this time.
Okay, so if I could have you have a seat for a minute, there are comments. We appreciate that. As stated, please note your name and address.
Yeah, I'm Jeff Lookup. I'm representing my father from 49 Ward Hill.
Thank you.
The only minor change or in these my father was more focused on kind of a brownish color to make it would kind of blend with the house, at least so that would be everything else that they're proposing. He's in agreement with, but he would prefer more brownish to kind of blend in with the tones of the natural woods and also the house.
So I think I appreciate your feedback. Very specifically, we are looking at the size of this facility, not the color. We appreciate the fact that the applicant is, discussing this with the group, but that is our focus is specifically.
I mean, that's your focus, yeah.
Yep. So I appreciate the feedback and I assume he'll take that into account.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other comments or questions regarding this application? And again, like last time, please state your name and address for the record.
Sure. Carrie Mann Richardson, 120 Woodridge Crossing, Henrietta.
Alan Richardson, 120 Woodridge Crossing, Henrietta.
Welcome.
We were able to meet with the applicant and his spouse and understood that the changes that they were proposing were a reduction in size somewhat.
They are.
Some of the mature cedar, large ones that would cover the back end on our behalf. Again, considering color was up for that, and also a slight shift in its location. And so with the downsizing and the slight shift in location and the mature woods, we would not contest the application at this time.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Ditto.
She said, right? Again, I said it a minute ago. I appreciate everybody coming together and talking about this. We have had other instances where it's not as pleasant, and none of this is easy to talk about. It's uncomfortable for some, but the outcome is better for the whole community. So thank you for doing that. Is there any more comments or questions? Okay, with that, I think we can close this application,
Yeah, I just gotta write this up.
and we need a minute just for some documentation here.
Was there anything, anyone online wanted to comment?
Heather said no.
She did say that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I repeat what I think I heard her say is there's applicants online, but not
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's correct.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
Do I have to put anything in about the trees? Or
Nope.
no, because it was in the application? Okay, yeah, it's presented. All right. Mr. Chairman, with regard to application number ZBA 2023-075 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has duly advertised and held a public hearing, has considered all relevant information and has considered the potential benefits to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties, as the applicant has made strides to help maintain the character of the neighborhood by adding additional trees. The variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative, as the applicant has explored all feasible alternatives, but due to the narrow lot after it is subdivided, this was the only way to meet all the needs of the applicant. The variance requested is substantial. However, the applicant has reduced the size of the accessory structure to better suit his needs. The variance will not have a negative effect on physical or environmental conditions. The difficulty relating to the variance was self-created, as the applicant has accumulated a lot of items over the years and wants to adequately store them and have a workshop to work on the applicant's equipment. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approve the variance as presented.
I'll second.
Seconded by John. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion does carry. Thank you very much, everybody. Next, we will ask for applicant for 2023-080 for the T-Mobile at 348 Clay Road.
You need camera?
I don't know, you tell me.
Yeah, you don't need camera.
See you on that.
You.
Welcome.
Yes, hello,
Hello. Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Scott Flad, 78 North Brook Street, Geneva, New York.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Aaron, do you want to start this?
Sure. Good evening. So is there anything that you would like to add to the application about maybe why this the sign application came about, or its intended use?
Yeah, sure. I'm the sign contractor, hired to do the installations. Well, one is, this is a call center. They're gonna be, having shifts, different shifts, work. Different shifts work, 24 hours a day, to man this, call center. And, they, have the 2 parking lots, and, the 1 parking lot, where the, employees, pull into, they will, on the east side, there is an entrance there, and they would like a sign identifying the entrance.
Mhm.
It's helpful to have a sign there, for one, when they come at dark, it will identify the building and they will know where to go and have a good feeling that they're working for T-Mobile. The sign itself is, it's a low profile sign, 3 inches deep. Made aluminum construction with a acrylic face. Has LED lighting, and the electric, the box for the LED drivers that are needed to light the sign are going to be behind the wall. They're going to have a photo cell, which they would like to light, which will allow the sign to come on when it gets dark, and the signs will go off in the morning when it gets light. Because of the different shifts they're going to be having working there all hours of the day. And I guess that's all I have to say at this point. I would like to mention, well, well, you see the design of the building, it was, I guess, challenging for them to design the building in this triangular parking lot. And, they just kind of, so, they wanted the, proper identification for this large building and that's what they would desire. So that's all I had to say.
Thank you. You actually answered a lot of my questions with that description.
Okay, that's
Have
good.
more questions, yes. Could you tell me where the other signs are gonna be, the other two?
Yeah, on the west side of the building, let me see. There, they are going to mount a large letter T to the left side of their entrance on the wall. I believe it's about 7 foot tall, but rather than having the wording, again, it's just a large logo T mounted on the facade to the left side of the entrance. And then on the north side of the building, facing Route 390, they want a set of T-Mobile letters, which are the same size, I believe, as the ones proposed for the east side, to identify the building. And of course, on the, I think I misspoke. I'm sorry. That's on the
South side.
south side facing 390. On the north side, where everyone actually approaches the building, they are not asking for a sign. Just on the left side and the right where the parking lots are, and facing 390.
I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that I'm clear. You're indicating the main entrance would have no sign facing the main entrance?
No, that's what I'm asking. That's what we're asking for on east side, is for a sign at that main entrance.
So the
But
main
they also have, which I believe is their main entrance, because when you go inside, they actually have, they have a theater and a coffee house and a market area to accommodate the workers. And that's right near the east entrance. So I believe that's the main entrance, but they also have another entrance, and maybe a secondary entrance coming off the parking lot from the west side, where they want just the large T mounted.
Is there a sign facing the roadway into the facility?
No.
No,
So if this is to be lit up for employees coming in to a 24/7 operation, coming off the main entrance, the main roadway rather, there's no sign.
well, I see when you come in, you approach the building and you would see the T on the west side of the building.
Okay.
But if you approach it from the other way, I'm sure that's a double lane road. If you approach it from the other side, you would see the side from the B. I mean, you're not direct on, but you would see the building where the signs are requested to go.
However, there is no sign off the main roadway entrance where you would enter into the parking lot other than a T.
Yeah.
Nothing that says T-Mobile directly off the main roadway.
No, nothing there.
So the intention of the testimony of this would allow the employees to know where they're going in a 24/7 operation
Mm-hmm.
really doesn't apply because it's on the other side of the building.
And
Uh,
it's attached to the parking lot.
It's on the other side of the building, the parking lot. Well, when they pull into the facility and definitely drive to the east side where the parking lot is, they will see a sign. Well, I just assume that road there where they come in off of, I see where they come in, they'll see the west side, or they would come can come in from the other side, and I would think they'd see the east side, but I believe the north side really didn't accommodate a sign, and and then the other is the sign on the east side identifying the building, just lights and highlights the entrance, and adds additional light to that area. And I just think it's would be a positive thing for employees to see when they came in. I mean, it would light the building and better direct. So I guess that's my argument.
Is there gonna be a monument sign or a pylon sign for this building specifically?
No, as far as I know, there's no additional signs requested for this building. You know, they're allowing its address and the size of the structure, you know, to you know, work for itself, to, you know, be noticeable when they approach the building. And and they'll see the T, the gray color of the building. So I don't think again, it's not necessary, and I'm glad they're not over signing this property. But I don't see where one's necessary, and they haven't mentioned it to me, anything about needing an additional sign.
Why don't they take the sign off the south face of the building and put it on the east if it's so difficult for the employees to find where the entrance is?
Well, I guess technically they could do that, yes. But you know, it's a large facility. It's a big investment of theirs, and I guess they just thought that identifying the building off of 390 is warranted, and that's what they requested when I filled out the variance. So they requested that they wanted that sign and the T, and to ask for the variance for that third sign on the east side. So I guess they, you know, they would like that sign on the south side. So hence their request for the third sign on the east parking lot. So
Other questions from other board members?
I have no further questions.
Beth, do you have the answers that you want or don't want?
I'm good, thank you.
I heard someone.
So if I'm understanding this right, I guess what would be the southeast, the side facing 390 is actually not going to have a sign.
It is.
There,
Oh, it
yeah,
is.
there is
Okay.
one there.
So they're gonna have one on the, we'll just generically call it the south side. I know it's a little bit to the east, but the
Yeah.
south side has a sign.
Okay.
The west side has a sign, and they want a new one, another one, a third one on the east side. So the parking lots, each parking lot will have a sign. What it looks like, you know, they're different, but
Right.
each parking lot will have a sign, and the 390 side will have a
Okay.
sign as well. The testimony says, though, that it's for a call center, and the other piece of the testimony that we saw earlier says it's so people can, you know, see where to go.
Right.
I feel like we've covered that piece of it. So if the testimony is just so that they can find out where to go, I feel that's covered. If the testimony is to say we need people to see that we have a big building here and it's an advertisement, which it is.
Mhm.
I mean, that's a different conversation. I think there's a little bit of cross thoughts on the way they're asking for this, in
Mhm.
my eyes. Are there more questions that you have?
I don't think so.
Are there questions from members of the audience? And I assume, Heather, there's still nobody else additionally on the Zoom for questions?
That's correct.
Do I want to get a straw man real quick to see how people think? Mr. Harrington? Aaron?
I'm starting to lean against it.
Right, but you're in the middle, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Heather? John?
I'm all right with it.
I'm okay with it. So we are 3-3 and you're no pressure, but you're in the middle.
I did just want to point out that whatever we approve for any of these is that it's in perpetuity.
Yep.
That's the tone for anything else.
What I'm more concerned about now is that,
Oh, good.
I was just gonna say, what I'm more concerned about it now is it's more of a commercial advertisement than a
Need.
actual need.
I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
It's a billboard. The flip side of that, my counter to that is, I mean, it is a giant facility. It's 82,000 square feet. We've done it for others. Tile.
Retail.
Do we
Fair.
need to, Mr. Chairman, do we need to table this to the end for a discussion?
I was hoping that we maybe have a couple seconds here and
Okay,
then
just
maybe
asking the question.
take it deeper if we need to.
Okay.
So there is differences, no doubt. It's a giant facility and it's 82,000 square feet. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm giving my thoughts. And it's a lot of employment in the community, which is wonderful. A lot of revenue for it for the community, a lot of bonuses.
About the sign.
It's about the sign, but these are factors that we are considering. It's the benefits and the pros and cons to the situation.
But there's no benefit to the employee who does not see the sign.
The employee is not the one asking for it. It's the employer asking for it.
So,
That's just a view.
so, one of the things, feasible alternatives, there are other feasible alternatives. They already have a canopy to show them this is the entrance. They can also do directional signs, which they could come before us about. So there's other feasible alternatives than adding a sign.
And they could, in theory, put a monument sign
Correct.
because they don't have one yet. So that wouldn't require a variance, correct?
They have one wall and one monument sign, that's all will be allowed.
So it would be a third. still
Yeah, it'd
would
still be a
cover.
third,
It'll be
but
covered.
Being the monument in favor of a second wall. They're asking for a third wall.
Which they,
That's lit.
either a monument or a third wall would still have the same need to get a variance.
Correct.
Again, it's just a clarifying, we're on the same page.
Mhm.
Do you guys wanna, well, Aaron, do you have an opinion on this now, or should we postpone it to the end of the meeting to reopen this for deeper discussion?
I think I'd like a little deeper discussion.
Okay, so with that, we will table this application and we will reopen it at the end of the meeting where we will have some conversations about it in more depth. So we will get back to this one. It is tabled for 2023-080. Next, we'll go to 2023-083, which is Patty Buckman at 66 Wildflower Drive.
Yes,
Welcome.
yes, thank you. It's Patty Buckman, 66 Wildflower Drive. Was just asking for my driveway to be extended past my garage. I have a daughter that does auto mechanics and it's always nice to have an additional vehicle in the driveway.
So this is just a request to add kind of a minimal little pie wedge onto the
Correct.
existing driveway. You indicated in your application, just moving cars around, is this going to keep cars from needing to go in and out
Yes,
onto the road and then
things
back?
not being parked on the yard. Yes,
And you're on a bit of a curve too, right?
yes,
So that probably makes it a little safer going in and out
definitely.
with the room, okay?
And you did indicate, if I just heard you correctly, that you are gonna make it the way you drew it on the application. right?
Correct.
Okay. Are there any questions from board members?
No further questions.
Kevin has one.
I just have a comment. You mentioned that your daughter does auto mechanic work
Yes.
at your property?
No,
Okay,
no, no, no,
there's no outdoor storage of junk vehicles
No.
or parts? Okay,
no.
thank you.
Okay.
Are there any other questions from members of the audience? Okay, with that, I think we can close this application.
Mr. Chairman, in regards to application ZBA 2023-083 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has one, duly advertised and held a public hearing, two, has considered all relevant information, and three, has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties, as similar homes have additional parking driveway spots. The variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative. The parking on the lawn or street is not a viable option. Adding driveway width is the safest alternative for the residents. The variance is not substantial, adding minimal space to existing driveway to accommodate need of vehicle parking. The variance will not have a negative effect or on physical or environmental conditions. The difficulty relating to the variance was self-created, and be it further resolved that based above the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approve as presented.
I'll second.
Seconded by Heather. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. And who seconded that?
It was me.
Heather. Okay, next we have 2023-084, which is Kathleen Thomas at 3 Gatehouse Trail. No. Okay, I'll move that to the end. (2023-085) Stephanie Rapkin at 505 Pinnacle Road. Welcome.
Good evening. How are you guys? Stephanie Rapkin, 505 Pinnacle Road. Sorry, I'm short.
Welcome, Stephanie.
Evening. Do you have anything to add to your application? I'm going to try to go over just a brief summary as to what you're looking for.
So I'm looking to put a shed in my backyard, similar to what my backyard neighbor has. He kind of helped me along with getting the application or telling me how to go about reaching you guys. Just looking to add a shed to the backyard so I can clear out my driveway, or my garage to add my vehicle in there with increased thefts in the nearby, because I'm right on Pinnacle, which there's been a lot of car thefts on Witten and Jefferson, just keeping my car safe at night. Plus, for in the winter, I have arthritis in my back or left leg, so it's hard to clear off the car. So I thought it'd be nice to be able to have it under covered storage of the garage, to be able to get to work a little bit easier and to keep it safe so there's no snow on top. I would take all the contents of the garage and put it in the shed. So the size was to accommodate the storage from there. And then I have a couple tractors that would go in there. I have my winter tractors and my summer ones. So my winter ones clear the driveway. I sit on them and I plow. I actually have a picture of my crutches. I had foot surgery a year ago or 2 years ago in January, and I had my crutches under my tractor seat plowing the driveway. My dad, after I had surgery, and so we finally were able to get me back home to clear it out. But then in the summer, I use it to mow my yard. I have a push mower that I'll just do around the trees, but that causes foot issues. So I use my riding mowers to be able to keep up the maintenance and keep my independence. So the size is kind of just to mimic the amount of storage in the garage. And that way I can put my car into the garage.
Is the garage 432 square feet?
I'm not sure. It's one of the ranches. It's whatever the standard ranch is. I want to say it's
not
I
gonna
think
be
it's
that
like
big.
14 wide, because I think there's a little storage on the left and the
Yeah.
right side when you come into the garage. I know
Probably
my
20 feet deep or
It's
something.
according to the drawing, it's showing 13.4 feet by 33.4.
okay, yep. So very similar. And then to have that in there, just to get everything out of the garage to get into the shed. I thought about doing an addition onto the garage, but I didn't want to be too close to the neighbors. Plus, if I ever had to have yard like tree work done in the backyard, no vehicle could get back there, because that's the side that would be where the vehicle would go through
Right, like the
would
fire
do.
department, if they had to get back. for
Yeah,
whatever reason, yeah.
Because I have the cables back there. I know of time, someone's come back there to put cables and run cables back there that would just allow vehicle access back there,
Emergency vehicles or, yeah, or construction, yeah.
tree removal,
Right,
whatever.
Whatever.
And when you mentioned there was gonna be a traditional shed, construction, just basically just wood.
Just
with-
like a little A-frame, with a double door and then two windows, one on the back side, one on the front side, just for light inside. It's gonna be the same color of the house. I asked my backyard neighbor, since he was the one who's gonna have to probably look at it. And he's like, yeah, as long as it's not red, because red fades. He was not really particular, so I'm just gonna match the same color, shingle roof, light gray shed, white trim to match the house, so it just kind of blends in.
How wide is your property? It looks like it's about 110 or
I
something, 100.
think I have a
110,
map.
so just a little under.
It's 33, 66 and 20. Okay.
64.95,
No, that's the latitude or longitude.
no,
I don't know if
It's
it
not?
helps, but I have,
no, look,
I have
Well, I
this
see that, but that's not the full width, I don't think.
66.
The front's 33, 66 and 23. Okay.
The front, I think, because my driveway, I think there's a little bit, I don't know how to read these things, but I have this, if that helps you guys. Do you want me to bring it up? Oh, okay.
That's what we're looking at. Is there any way that you can do it smaller than this?
For the amount of stuff to pull to get my car into the garage, that size would be the equivalent. Plus it would get rid of I have one tractor that I'm gonna bring to the scrap yard. I'm gonna pull the motor from it just to keep for my tractors. And then the other two are gonna go into the shed. I had an issue when I bought a Lowe's tractor. It quit on me and then I was left without a mower to mow. So I found that these little older John Deeres are little tanks, knock on wood, and their parts are pretty interchangeable. So they were gonna go in there, plus like my rakes, all the weed trimmers. And then I have a handicap cargo carrier that was gonna go in there as well. So that it added up to the little additional space on there.
And the garage currently is full
Yes,
to the walls.
yes. I have a picture if you like.
problem.
There's a
Absolutely.
pathway you walk sideways, but I have my toolbox in there. I have a workbench and then I have like my garden tools. And then I
Those
have,
are all going, the workshop and everything. I'm sorry, the bench and everything.
I'm gonna see if I can angle it in the garage. If not, that will go on the one end of the shed. It would just allow me to have my car into the garage, for that way it's not missing in the next morning. And it's sad to say, but I was in the backyard and I watched a car scoping. It was actually, I was out with my neighbor. He stopped over and he has a Hyundai in his driveway and he saw a car scoping out. So he ended up parking his tractor in front of the car. So he's like, well, no one's going to take the car now that there's a tractor in front of it. But just that, unfortunately, that's the world we live in, just to keep that safe and in the winter, just to help make it safer to get to work and easier for me to get it'll be not covered in snow.
there's two things. One is to move things into the shed.
Yeah, because the car would go in the
Plus
garage.
Also to help you, so you don't have to shovel the car off whenever we have snow. Will you be running any electricity to the shed?
No, it's just storage.
It's just storage.
Yeah.
at night. Okay,
So it's just gonna have the windows. That's the only light that we'll have is just from the two windows for natural light. It's just storage, so there's no need for electricity or anything.
okay. And you mentioned also trash cans, but are those the ones you talk about, the trash totes? Or are you talking about?
Yeah, like I have like the ones for like my garden brush, because we don't have garden collection, so you call the town, I guess, and you schedule a meeting to bring like the trimmings for like bushes and stuff. So those would go into the shed as well.
Oh, okay. all right.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like the totes when
I just have the one garbage can next to the garage, because I just don't want to track critters into the shed if there's like a garbage.
Well,
with-
yeah, it's gonna,
But-
yeah, they will attract.
That would not be fun.
Yeah, it would.
So one of our things that we always try to do is to have the smallest variance possible. This is a substantial variance and I understand the need that you have, which I think is, is clear. the question that I will come back to is there any way to do it smaller? Could you accomplish this with a smaller?
I measured out the space, like you saw, it was very similar to the garage size. So for that car, I would have to still tuck my, I think, one window in so I don't lose a mirror on my car, but the car literally will take up the whole garage. It's a RAV4 with a wheelchair carrier on the back, so everything's gonna have to go into the shed.
And again, I go back to the question, there's no way to shrink the shed.
I know you couldn't do 2 sheds, but I know that's a variance as well. So I thought I would just tackle it in one
Yep.
shed instead of having 2 of them, because that starts looking like a little town back there when you have multiple sheds. And I thought that would look tackier if there's 2 sheds on the property versus just the 1 shed.
Okay. Are there any questions?
Yeah. Kevin, if there's a canopy attached to the accessory structure or the shed in this case, does that count towards the square footage?
Canopy on it?
Well, it would go towards, no, it would be storage space, so
Mm.
look at the wall, inside the walls.
Is there a canopy on this or is that just
No.
a cutaway?
There shouldn't be a canopy. It should just be a normal.
I think the picture that if you're looking at this picture, it looks like a canopy, but I think it's like the cutaway of it.
Oh, yeah, no, I was just thinking of an option.
Oh,
If-
no, I think that's a cutout showing
The
the
studs.
beams,
Mhm.
how they're, the spacing of the beams, how they're, I'm not sure of the technical terms.
That's okay.
Sorry. On point or on center or something.
Any questions from you?
I have one. So I know you carefully looked at this and to determine the size that you're gonna need, especially since your garage currently is packed full. Is this size going to meet your needs?
Yes.
Okay.
I actually, those reflective stakes that you line your driveway, I measured for different ones and I would bring my stuff, not everything, but like I brought the tractors out and I was measuring it out. So I plotted it out in the backyard using those reflective stakes, and that was the size that would allow. I was looking at 14, but that was being a little excessive. So I narrowed it down to a 12-foot width. So the 14 obviously would have been a preference, but I tried to keep it as small as possible in 12-foot. Plus, if I ever move, that bad boy's coming with me.
Yeah.
Because a lot of places are just 1-car garage, I've noticed. In my budget, if I bought another home or ever relocated, so that shed, since I'm investing, it'll be over 10,000 into the shed. It would probably go with me if I ever move, because it was the legal size to be able to go down the road, I was told.
And this is a very large structure that you're asking for, so it's not something small here. That's why we're asking a lot of
Yeah,
questions.
no, I appreciate it.
Does anybody have any more questions? In both ways. Are there thoughts, pro or con to this? Just like thumb up, Aaron? You sound in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. Heather, we'll come back to it.
I'm also in the middle.
John?
I'm okay with it.
I'm in the middle. Heather or Beth, I mean,
I think it's very well thought out and.
I do too.
Mhm.
I'm good with it as. it is.
Okay, so who has this?
I do.
So this will pass. So
I'll pass.
are there questions from members of the audience? I don't know if I asked that earlier. Okay, I think with that, we can close this application.
Here. Hey, Mr. Chairman, with regard to application ZBA 2023-085 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has 1, duly advertised and held a public hearing, 2, has considered all relevant information, and 3, has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variances. Now therefore be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. It will be a traditional shed structure located 10 feet from both of the back and side property lines. The variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative. The additional storage space will enable the applicant to properly store their tractors, wheelchair carrier, tools, and trash cans. This will free up the garage to be used for parking. The variance is substantial The variance requested is substantial. The variance requested is over twice, which is 2.25 times what is allowable by town code. The variance will not have a negative effect on physical or environmental conditions. The additional storage will allow items currently on the side and backyards to be out of sight and protected from the elements. And the difficulty relating to the variance was self-created. The applicant stated that they have difficulty removing snow from their car due to health issues and want to use their garage space to protect it from weather conditions and possible theft. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approves the variance as presented.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Beth. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Motion carries. You can have the shed.
Oh, thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Have a good evening.
Have a good night.
Next, we have 2023-086, which is Jason Cates at 148 Elm Crest Rise. Welcome.
Mr. Chairman, sorry. Good evening.
Jason Cates, 148 Elm Crest Rise.
Welcome.
Who's opposed?
Pardon me for one moment.
I'm sorry.
Bob was opposed.
I was
You
opposed.
were opposed. Okay, thank you.
You good?
We're good.
Okay. Thank you for saying that. I'm sorry that we were doing at once. Please tell us a little bit about your request.
We're basically looking to increase the size of our shed or replace our shed with a larger shed. Over the years, we've accumulated some lawn tractors and lawn equipment and some other things that we need to store. Patio furniture, stuff like that.
Okay. So I know in your application, you had stated that you currently had to store some of your belongings on the exterior of the shed.
Yeah.
Of the existing one?
Like our
Yeah.
patio furniture and stuff in the winter.
Yeah.
Is put behind the shed. just
Okay.
on Stone
Yeah.
in the back.
Currently
Okay.
have like a smaller plastic shed thing that's next to our shed now that has stuff in it. So it's like everything's kind of scattered all around the shed itself.
Okay. Do you plan on putting everything in the shed once it's? Okay.
Yes, yeah, it'll clean everything up. Everything will be stored inside.
Okay. Now, is there gonna be any anticipation of windows? What's the subfloor? Is it gonna be gravel?
Yeah, yeah, the foundation will be crusher run,
Okay.
tamped down, leveled off. Then it'll sit right on top of that. It's a prefabbed shed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you anticipate any plumbing or electricity?
No,
Okay,
strictly storage.
okay.
Any other questions from board members?
Yes, last one.
Okay.
So what dictated the size? Did you base it off of your existing storage needs with what's in the
Yeah,
outside storage currently?
yeah, like I said, we just acquired a lawn tractor, so that really doesn't fit in our current shed. I don't want to store it outdoors for obvious reasons.
We want to be able to get our cars in the garage in the winter.
Yeah. Yeah, our garage is stuffed. So I'm gonna get some of that out.
Okay. No further questions.
Are there any questions from members of the audience? Nope. I think we can, with that, we can close this application.
Yep. All right, Mr. Chairman, with regard to application number ZBA 2023-086 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has duly advertised and held the public hearing, has considered all relevant information and has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties, as other homes in the area have sheds similar to what the applicant is asking, and their home backs up to the woods. The variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative. The applicant has already exceeded this storage within the home and current shed. The variance requested is substantial. However, increasing the size of the shed will help maintain and clean up the look of the property by bringing items that were stored outside into the new shed. The variance will not have a negative effect on physical or environmental conditions. The difficulty relating to the variance was self-created, as the applicant needs the additional items or the additional storage for items like lawn equipment, patio equipment, and other items. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approve the variance as presented.
I'll second.
Seconded by Christian. All in favor signified by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Okay, next we have application 2023-087. John Paul Milner at 790 Pinnacle Road. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. John Paul Milner, 790 Pinnacle Road.
Would you like to tell us anything about your application?
Sure. My wife and I moved into Henrietta 2 years ago, this December. And along with the property, we've been making a number of improvements, most recently a housing color change. And we are looking at the eyesore of our existing shed, which is 28 feet or 28 years old. It's 1.5 feet off the corner of our home, and it's in need of serious repair. So instead of using the existing mini barn style, we'd like to present to you a 12 by 20 shed in the back corner, far enough away from the home structure in order for me to store my fuel and lawn equipment, as well as accessories such as lawn chairs and patio furniture, grill, and snow tires, things like that.
It looks like from the application that shed has paid its dues.
Pardon me?
I appreciate that you were very thorough in your application. Why 240? How did you come to that calculation?
Yes, that seems to be a reasonable size given the shed that I've looked at has a roll-up garage door, which would be pointed away from our house towards our neighbors. And actually, the corner of the property has a number of trees and screened bushes and things like that. So it would not be a detriment. But in looking at a 12 by 16, which is the normal 192 square foot, a 20 foot long would give me just that much more needed space for all the equipment that I'd like to store inside. Currently, I have two pieces of pull along equipment for my tractor that sit outside of the shed, and as well as a packed garage space.
Out of curiosity, what made you point the garage door towards the neighbor?
Yeah, in order, it seems the slope of the ground will have it crusher run put down to have that. I will also have double doors on one side facing towards the yard and two windows to appropriately give light. So we didn't want to look at this white door towards our house.
I think that was my point of my question. Is it, so if you don't want to look at it towards your house, why was it pointed towards the neighbor is what I was asking.
Yeah, there is a tree there and there is shrubbery in that back corner and it will be angled so that actually no one sees it. We've asked our neighbors, they're all in approval of our thoughts behind it.
Any other questions from board members? Any questions from members of the audience? Okay, with that, we can close this application.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to application number ZBA 2023-87 for area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has, 1, duly advertised and held a public hearing. 2, has considered all relevant information. And 3, has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. One, the variance will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. The new shed replaces an old shed. The color will be the same aesthetic. Two, the variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative as the owners have outgrown the size of the existing shed. Three, the variance is not substantial. Four, the variance will not have negative effect on physical or environmental conditions. The applicant is simply replacing the old unit with a more size appropriate one. Five, the difficulty related to the variance was self-created. The need for more shed space is related to the addition of furniture, tools, tractors, etc. And be it further resolved that based on the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approve as presented.
I'll second.
Seconded by Heather. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries.
Thank you, Chairman.
Have a
Good
good day.
evening.
Thank you, Tim.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
You may.
we have Mrs. Thomas online for Three Gatehouse for appeal 084. Do you wish to
Okay.
go back?
I will. This one's you. We will hear application 2023-084 Kathleen Thomas at Three Gatehouse Trail. Ms. Thomas, is there anything you'd like to add to the application for us to understand?
No, I think it's pretty, it was like 6 inches or something bigger than the old stoop, I call it. It's not really even a porch.
Got it?
So what's the need for a new porch? Is the old one deteriorating? Is there not
Yeah,
room?
it's from the 60s. It's that concrete step up, you just step up once. And it was a little concrete and then you step in the house. And so we put a wooden one over the top of it. And that made it be a little bit bigger.
And this is the right size for your needs. There's no other changes that are going to be anticipated or needed.
No, it's perfect.
So is this already there? Okay.
Yes.
Are there any questions from the board members? This is a pretty typical one, I figured.
Yeah.
No further questions.
Any questions from members of the audience? Yep, John, no pressure, but it's on you. We can close this application, by the way.
Mr. Chairman, with regards to application ZBA 2023-084 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board of appeals has duly advertised and held public hearings, has considered information, and has considered the potential benefits to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood and community in relation to such variance. Now therefore be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of facts. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the characteristic of the neighborhood. It enhanced the curb appeal and the stoop has been replaced already. The variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative. It's the original stoop that was on there and it needed to be replaced. The variance resulted is not substantial. The variance will not have a negative effect to the physical or environmental condition, actually enhances the curb appeal from the road. The difficulty related to the variance was self-created as they needed to stoop. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approves as presented.
I'll second that.
Oh,
Whoa. Seconded by Mr. Harrington. Oh, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that one was. Okay, next we'll do 2023-088, which is Amber Lee at 99 York Bay.
Hi, it's nice to meet everyone. Amber Lee, 99 York Bay Trail, West Henrietta.
Welcome. Could you
Thank
tell
you.
us a little more about your application?
Sure. I've lived in my home now for about 5 years. I did believe when I moved in that I'd be living by myself. That changed last year. I'm looking to add a shed so that not only can I get a second car into the garage, but in addition, I do have a lot of pool equipment, holiday decorations, lawn equipment, tools. I'm afraid that it's either an expansion on my house or a good sized shed to store all of those additional items.
Thank you. Aaron,
No, I think this is
pretty straightforward.
a small ask.
Are there any is there any anticipation of running power to the shed?
No,
Any other questions?
Is this gonna suit all your needs for future uses?
yes, that's why I asked for the 4 additional feet. It allows me to add a loft to the shed. I made sure to plan because I'd like to stay in my home long term, and that's why I asked for the additional 4 feet.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Are there any questions from members of the audience? Nope. With that, we can close this application.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, with regard to application number ZBA 2023-088 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has duly advertised and held a public hearing, has considered all relevant information, and has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. The proposed shed is in character with the neighborhood. The variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative. The variance cannot be achieved by other means without using additional storage off the property. The variance requested is not substantial. The variance is not substantial in that the request is for an additional 40 square feet more than what is allowed by town code. The variance will not have a negative effect on the physical or environmental conditions. The variance is not foreseen to have a negative effect on the physical or environmental conditions at this time. The difficulty relating to the variance was self-created. While the variance was self-created, the request is a reasonable solution. And be it further resolved that based on the above findings, that the zoning board of appeals hereby approve the variance as presented.
I'll second.
Seconded by Christian. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much. I
Have a nice
appreciate your
day.
time.
Good night.
You as well.
Next, we have application 2023-089 and 090 by Saffron for at 45 Becker Road.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Ralph Baranis. I'm with Skylight Signs here in Rochester. What I'm not sure of before I begin is if a representative from Saffron is also with us. Is that something we can confirm?
I am. It's Jacqueline Palmieri.
Oh, hello, Jacqueline. Okay.
Hello.
I'm glad you're here too. So I guess I'll start and then Jacqueline can help fill in any of the blanks. Our goal is to replace 2 existing signs that address the receiving and shipping areas for this company. The signs that were there now, I believe, are 12 inches by 18 inches. And the signs that we're looking to replace those with are 16 inches by 24 inches, which is about 2.6 square feet each. From what I can tell, based on my Google search, these signs don't face a public road. Jacqueline, you can maybe help confirm that.
No, they don't.
They don't, and they're pretty important, important enough to apply for this variance.
Right.
And we don't think that there's any negative effect created by these signs to the neighborhood or anything else. And it's really just a safety thing. Drivers come in, they need to know where to pull up, and not second guess themselves. That's about it. Of course, Jacqueline, please, anything you'd like to add?
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Palmieri. I'm the facilities manager over at Saffron, which used to be Aurelia last year. So what we need to replace those signs. They're on the
shipping decks, shipping and receiving. And what happens is it's a big building. We have the majority of the building, it's about 52,000 square feet. There's a small little company at the end. They don't have any signage. They're a pharmaceutical company. And they have a dock in the back, as well as we have a dock that's further, like maybe in the center of the building. So when the trucks go around, they see a dock and it happens to be the pharmaceutical place. There's no sign and they end up pulling into there, whether it's FedEx, UPS, we get shipping all the time. We actually manufacture timing and navigation and GPS for satellites, for the military, for shipping, for airplanes, the whole thing. So we get a lot of shipping and it gets very confusing. So we want those signs on the docks and we need them to say Saffron because there's no other signs around for the other company. So we want them to say Saffron shipping and receiving. And just to be a little bit bigger because the ones we had really nobody really saw. So it's really not for a marketing purpose. It's very much for directional.
I just want to ask, what size did you say these are going to be?
16 inches high and 24 inches wide.
From everything I can see, none of this indicates that size. None of your application indicates that size. Your paperwork that was written by hand indicates 12 by 12 for one and 12 by 12 for another. Your drawings indicate 12 by 18 for both.
I think it's the larger of them. Obviously they made a mistake.
Okay, I was unaware. I'm surprised. I was if I may, I'm filling in for a colleague and I thought I had enough information here. The drawing I was provided does show 16 by 24. And Jacqueline, if that's what you were expecting this application to be for?
I wasn't aware of what the size was going to be. I just asked actually for him to make it larger than what it was. Because when you're pulling in, the docks are up high. And where the sign is up even higher. It's ladder, like you couldn't get to it unless you had a ladder. So for a very small sign, it's really hard for the drivers to read. I don't want it large. I just want it clear and be able to be readable. So they're pulling into the right docks. That's all.
Okay. Hold on one moment. Eric or Kevin, I mean, that's got to be somewhat problematic paperwork wise, right?
Well, they're going for the number of signs providing they're under the original difference.
So it doesn't matter.
As long as you're under the allowed square footage, which I would assume is 250 square feet for this building. I'd have to go back and look at what I believe you have a sign in the front of the building, just one.
We have a sign in the front of the building and we have a sign in the back of the building on the corner. It's much smaller.
So that's why it's two more signs, but we don't know the size of the others.
It's not, but they're directional. They're not like we need to say that's where our dock is. There's several docks that aren't ours. And there's no signs on any of them.
I'm not necessarily opposed to the signs. I want to make sure the paperwork's correct.
Okay.
That creates another problem. So I'm
Yes.
validating that piece of it.
I completely understand now. Obviously that's a big difference there, not in size, but it is a difference. And yeah, you need to know what square footage is current on the building to know
the answer?
How much, but based on what Jacqueline just said, if the two signs that she has currently are directional only.
So there's no
probably
business sign?
There is.
There's a business sign.
I'm just trying to look up the square footage that I have here. Yeah, they have like 50 square feet.
So
yeah, we're way under, I think.
For that building.
Application.
For the building.
Number of signs, not for.
So we don't have any concerns. Okay.
Right.
We don't have to read it.
do you feel that because of the discrepancy here, do you guys feel we should put a size limitation? Not to exceed 250 square feet of total signage,
Well, I mean, they're way under, so I would, if they're looking for the,
the size they just said, we're fine.
yeah.
Okay,
It's only
Okay.
like 6 square feet they're asking for, whatever.
well, that's fine. I just don't want it to be a problem later on, so I'd rather ask the questions now than.
Right, if they were, someone came in and, it changed hands, they would have to come back if it was going to be larger signs that would exceed the square feet.
Okay. Perfect.
Understood.
Is there any other questions from board members? I sort of cut it off a little bit asking that question.
I did have one, and I don't know if you guys can answer this, because since I know one of the issues is that one of the purposes, because you wanted to have, trucks, know that this is your loading dock. Has there been discussion of the other company adding signage as well?
As far as I know, I mean, they've been there for a while. I don't think they're a pharmaceutical company, and I don't think they really want to advertise that they're there.
Okay.
So I don't think so.
You good?
Thank you. Yep.
This is just to make sure it's not a problem, but is the pharmaceutical company the same building, and would that count towards the
Nope,
square
it's
footage? Okay,
Same building, but it doesn't count towards the square footage because it's what they have for their business.
okay.
Are there any questions from members of the audience? Okay, with that, we can close this application. With regards to application number ZBA 2023-089 and 090 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has duly advertised and held a public hearing, has considered all relevant information, and has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variances. Now therefore be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variances will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties. This variance makes sense for shipping and receiving, and with this being a non-residential area, it is not out of character. The variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative. This variance is the only solution available for this simple need. The variance requested is not substantial. These small signs do the simple job of informing delivery drivers without being excessive in size. The variances will not have a negative effect on physical or environmental conditions. Again, these small signs are expected to have no environmental impact. The difficulty relating to the variance was self-created, and the need for the business to have pickup and deliveries is common. It is something that they need identified for their location. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approve the variances as presented.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Beth. All in favor signify.
Mr. Chairman, I just a comment. Did you need to put a condition on this? I decide the perpetuity. We have now this property has 4 signs for this space.
Do you think I should say a maximum of 250 for the facility or for the?
Well, we don't need to state a maximum for the entire facility because that's already in the code.
Correct.
Right. I think
But-
he's getting at do we want to cap the size of the
Yeah,
actual
yeah,
sign?
By 24.
The problem is it's as presented, the presentation is 12 by 18.
All right.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
as presented
It's not
though.
as
You
presented.
did say as presented, didn't you? Did you not?
I did.
Maybe you can state the size that they're looking for.
As presented, I did. So as presented covers it, right?
No,
Well, the presented was 12 by 18. They were.
Right.
Well, the
requesting-
testimony was,
Okay, I'm just making sure that.
I'm asking, I'm not sure what the right answer is. Do you want me to add it?
To add it, right?
no, maybe just add as presented by the testimony of the applicant, as amended by the testimony of the applicant,
Yeah,
the size.
just to cover it. Just
I
one
apologize
second.
for prolonging the meeting.
No, that's fine. I'd rather have it right. So I will add to that and be it further resolved that this approval shall be subject to the following conditions as amended by the testimony of the applicants.
I still second that.
Still seconded by Beth. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motions carry. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. I would like to take a 5-minute break. And we'll be back in just a moment after that.
So 8:20.
8:20. We will be back at 8.
Well, we'll be at 24.
8:25. Yep.
Uh-oh.
I always say, it's gonna be a long one today. Past couple of months hasn't been. I always tell my husband that.
So let's have time for ice cream. for you. No, I don't mind at all. That is 91 is next, yeah. So, yeah, please use the easel. That would be great. And we gave you a minute to set up, so that works out perfect. Ooh. $250 or one of them.
Overall, yeah. The two signs, third, fourth.
They should be, shouldn't they?
Are now.
We didn't ask for a variance of size. Right? There wasn't a size variance.
Oh, no, yeah, it wasn't the size.
That's why I was asking it before I closed it.
I think we're okay. They could come in and put larger signs as long as they did not exceed.
250 or whatever. it is.
Yeah, I think the proof is presented wasn't correct because the paperwork asked for a 12 by 12.
12 by 16, I think.
Yeah,
Not what they said.
not what they said though. What she said was 16 by 40. Yeah. Right. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Good call. No problem. Been driving nuts since I've been here. You think they see that out there? Oh, they're nice. This is nice. It's a Steve's. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. What's that? No. Not at all. It does drive me. I have some kind of weird OCD or something.
Hey, Bob, just a quick question while we're on break.
Please.
On application number 86 for Jason Cates, do you have who seconded that application by any chance?
I do. It was Christian.
It was Chris. Thank you. I was on the phone with Kathleen trying to get her set up on Zoom and I missed it.
Yep.
Did anybody oppose it?
No,
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
you are welcome. I'm glad I'm taking the note.
Good idea.
All right. Oh, we get 2 more minutes. Should wait for Heather.
What's that? Morgan. Morgan.
Yeah. I didn't realize that.
Not doing too hard. Oh, yeah.
You did.
Wonder what happened to the son?
I believe you.
Because his son was involved too.
Oh, yeah. You listen to this.
I know. I do understand.
Yeah, that was the issue.
Cuba. Negative.
I have a really cool first aid kit company to show you.
A really cool what?
First aid kit company.
Okay,
And I thought of you because your motorcycle thing.
I'm interested to see what you're talking about.
I bought a first aid kit that's in my car. But it's not, it's it's short of a paramedic hat. Oh, wow. Cause it's got like a tourniquet, it's got.
Mostly
stuff in
good.
it, It's got like, stuff to stop your bleeding. It's got just about everything you need before the paramedic gets there.
Noted.
Very smiley. And
And
I
we
tell
have,
you what.
we have ambulances there.
What's that?
We have ambulances at our events, actually.
But for yourself, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But having one or two is awful.
Everybody drunk.
Like, I put one to bed and then the other ones are crying upstairs. And then wakes the other one up. I'm just.
It's just.
Yeah, it's a lot of work.
Reminds me of my brother and I. My brother always had this, he had this problem, like he would just sleep in. So on Christmas morning, I remember as a kid, I would like, I'd wake up and he'd still be sleeping. So I was like, the bathroom was right next to him.
Nope.
Up around.
I don't think so.
And try to wake him up.
Oh, yeah. We actually wake our kids up.
Really?
Yeah, but they're out, I mean, they're out cold.
Oh, my daughter, I have to wake up every morning, except it's every week.
I know
to
what you have to
school. Weekends, she's up right.
I don't mean,
early.
That's odd.
And my daughter will run in our room in the mornings, like, somewhere between 5 in the morning.
I can't start without
Run and jump
it.
in our bed. Every day, like clockwork.
Okay, good.
Well, she's really tired and then she just never gets.
All right.
So.
All right, with that, I'm sorry, Chris, I'll start a little. With that, we're gonna reopen the meeting and we will start with, I lost the number, 2023-091 for 2160 East Henrietta Road. Welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Thanks for having us here tonight. I appreciate it. So my name's Emily Mitchell. I am the Vice President of Development. With AR.
We are getting substantial feedback in here, Heather. Do we know how to?
Yeah, it was Jason coming up, so I just muted him back. Sorry, Jason.
Got it. Okay, we're fixed, I think.
Well, I know who to blame now. Jason's with me.
Okay.
My name's Emily Mitchell. I'm with AR Building Company. My address is 310 Seven Fields Boulevard, Suite 350, Seven Fields, PA 16046. I also have Jason Kambitsis on the line. He is a president of AR Development Company. He runs the construction and land acquisition side of our company. And then here's Brad Simmons. He is our engineer for the project. So again, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. We're here because we have a proposed 101 apartment units on East Henrietta Road. It's at 2160 East Henrietta Road, right by the Tom Hortons and Mama G's. We've already gone through our special permit process where we got the special permit to allow multifamily in a commercially zoned area. And we got our site plan approval a couple weeks ago. We're here tonight because we need a parking variance, and that would kind of be our last step in the local approval process. So along with the 101 units that we're proposing, we also have a clubhouse, which has our amenity spaces, our full-time management staff, and a pool as an amenity. And we also are proposing 158 surface parking spaces, which comes to about 1.56 spaces per unit, which I understand is below the the town of Henrietta's ordinance. But after several conversations with planning staff and the town supervisor, based on our experience as an apartment management company and how well this works for our residents, also after talking to staff about kind of what industry standards are for multifamily parking and talking about the benefits of having less parking, including more open space, which was a big request of the neighbors in and around the project, and less impervious surfaces, we were encouraged by staff and the town supervisor to kind of come forward with our site plan application and then eventually come to you for this variance request. So a little bit about AR Building Company, just so you can understand our experience with this. AR Building Company is a 50-plus-year-old apartment development company. We're based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's where I live. We have one owner. We have no partners, no investors. We build everything with our own equity. We also hold everything for a portfolio. So meaning we're not a developer who comes in and entitles a project and then sells it off, or builds a project and sells it off. We hold our properties for the long term. So we take that very seriously during the design and entitlement process, because we need to make sure we're designing projects that, you know, will attract residents and can be maintained over the long term. That's why I know that I can stand here before you today and know that 1.5 spaces per unit, we're at 1.56, but our standard is 1.5, more than adequately serves our residents, their guests, and anybody coming to visit the property to maybe look at renting a unit, our staff. We have these kind of projects throughout the country, and I've provided some examples. We're also a fully integrated company. So we buy, build, and manage all of our projects. So we buy the land and acquire it. We buy the land, acquire it, and I entitle it. So that's what I do. We construct all of our projects. So we have a construction division that's run by Jeff Saris. And we basically act as the general contractor for all of our projects. And we do this because this really ensures that we can build to our standards, because again, we know we're going to be the long-term manager of these projects, and we need to make sure that the buildings look as good in, you know, day one as they do 20 years down the line. We also have an operations division that's run by Cam Reber, because all of our communities have a full-time management staff that are there every day, or every business day, managing our properties. As my job is in the design and entitlement phase. So I'm always working very closely with our operations staff, so I know what works for our company, because, you know, during the design phase, we have to make sure we're proposing something that works for our residents long-term. So that can be anything from like, where do we want to buy our land, to what type of apartments do we develop? Is it 1 and 2 bedrooms, which we're proposing here? What type of amenities would we have? But another things we consider is parking, because I need to make sure that I'm not proposing too much parking, but I'm also definitely not proposing too little parking that couldn't serve our residents in the future. So, you know, I think in the staff report, you probably should have seen some examples of our projects. This is just a handful. We can always provide more. I'm always happy to provide the name of, you know, staff in any of these communities, so they could kind of give you, you know, their experience with working with AR Building Company. So the first example we have is Evergreen Apartments, that's based in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. So that's just outside. You know what? I forgot one thing, and I wanted to make sure I told you this. So I told you who we are, but I didn't tell you how many units we have, which is probably important as we're kind of talking about our experience. So we have 9,000 units across the United States. In 51 communities. We're in 10 states. We're looking to expand to 4 states in the future. Over the next couple of years, we have about 1,500 to 2,000 units in the pipeline. This will be our first project in New York. We're mostly based in the Pittsburgh area, New England, and we're continuing to grow in New England, in Illinois, and Florida, in those markets. Sorry, go ahead.
In our packet, I don't know about your packet, but I do not have any examples listed.
Oh, okay.
I have the sales contract.
Oh, okay.
For the purchase of the property, so sorry, I'm a little confused.
I agree with the statement.
Yeah.
That's okay. I actually have them here so we can talk through them. And we also have a board, which is a little small, but I'll go through each property so we can kind of talk through them. Sorry, I thought that was
No,
part
that's
of
fine.
our variance application.
Could you actually just talk to this property? And
Sure.
not the other ones, because it's more about this property and that's the variance to it.
Yeah.
So are these market rate apartments or are they
market rate
subsidized?
apartments. Yes,
Okay.
they are.
Are they 1, 2, 3 bedroom?
They're a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom apartments.
In regards to these 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. According to your application, and it's number 3, whether the requested area variance is substantial. So, your organization has indicated the applicant does not believe the request relief is a substantial request. In the applicant's development experience, a multifamily development comprised of a similar mixed unit, similar scale and similar locations require a parking ratio of 1.5 spaces per dwelling to function properly and provide enough parking to maintain a high occupancy rate. So you're saying 1.5, but you're asking for 1.56.
So we provided a few additional than what is our standard.
Okay.
1.5 is our standard.
Is 1.5 your standard for 101 apartments? Or just in general?
1.5 spaces per unit is our
Okay.
standard. And that's why I was kind of going to go through some examples that are built or already entitled to show kind of our experience with this 1.5 spaces per unit working
Are
in
any of,
existing communities. Yeah.
are any of the examples within this area?
So this would be our first project in New York, but that's why I kind of picked a smattering of projects throughout kind of the Eastern United States that are, I think, in similar markets to Henrietta.
Similar markets as in similar size communities?
Similar sized communities, similarly located outside of larger cities, like, you know, we're close to Rochester here. That's how I kind of looked at them.
Perfect. Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, I'll go through them, and then Brad also has some examples of or has some numbers on the industry standards. So you're not only looking at AR communities, you're also looking at what our traffic engineer said as well. So I just wanted to provide you a little bit more data. So here are the examples. So Evergreen Apartments is in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. So that's just outside of Pittsburgh. It's about 15-20 minutes outside of Pittsburgh. It's right on the Turnpike. There we have 92 units and 138 parking spaces and a parking ratio of 1.5 spaces per unit. Again, no concerns there from residents at all about their ability to park. Another example is Kettle Point in East Providence, Rhode Island. I'm sorry.
Can I pause you after each one? I have a question.
Yes.
What type of snowfall comes to Monroeville?
What type of snow? I would say it's very similar to Pittsburgh snowfall.
So
I mean,
lighter
I
than-
think I wouldn't say we rank up there with Buffalo, but you know, we do get significant snowfall. It's definitely a winter.
What do you do with all the snow?
What do we do with all the snow? We have areas that we
We have snow removal areas that is associated with all of it.
Good.
So we're not taking up a parking space when we do that.
Okay.
And you have these marked on the application that you submitted?
The snow removal areas,
Yes.
I would have to double check if they were.
It's not
part of
on-
The comments from the planning board, which.
I'm sorry, but can you guys have Brad grab the microphone on the table next to the podium? We can't hear online.
Hold on. Good point. No singing, Brad. There it goes.
Great, thank you very much. Sorry about that. So the application was submitted prior to the revision that adds the snow removal areas. However, I can point them out here. At this moment, we have a snow removal area located here. And then we also have one located on the back side here.
So two,
Correct.
any impact to parking spaces?
No.
How do you get the snow to the backside? You
Back here?
pointed- Oh, that's not what I thought you pointed at.
Yeah. it was
I
more in the
understand.
Middle, I thought,
That's what I thought so too. So where he pointed.
No, we have an opening here
right.
and
That
that's,
makes
it's
sense.
actually been expanded a little bit. And then we also have an opening in the back.
Got it.
Thought it was in between the middle.
That's what I thought you did too.
Yeah.
Okay,
Would it be helpful if I keep going through some examples?
think we
or-
should, yes.
Okay, great. So the next one I have, and I have several of these. The next one I have is in Kettle Point. It's in East Providence, Rhode Island. So 15 minutes outside of Providence. So this project has over 220 units and 365 spaces. And that one's parked at 1.66 spaces per unit, which of course I know is higher than we're proposing here. But the reason for that is we have townhomes in that community where we expect a different sort of resident than what we would expect in 1 and 2 bedroom homes. And so those townhomes have 2 parking spaces per unit. So that's why it's just slightly higher. Another example we have is in Highland Hills in Cumberland, Rhode Island. That's about 25 minutes north of Providence, so kind of on the Massachusetts border. There we have 180 units, 271 parking spaces, and that has a parking ratio of 1.5 spaces per unit. Again, that's where we get that 1.5 from.
Are any of these communities senior living or anything like that?
No,
No?
these are all, similar mix of 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, all market rate, just like this. That's like we're proposing here.
What do you, who do you market these units to?
We market to everyone, of course, but who we find comes to our communities is a mix of young professionals who either are not ready to own a home or don't want to own a home, and seniors. That's typically what our residents get. We don't get a whole bunch of families because we usually have smaller units, like mix of 1 and 2 bedrooms. We also don't have amenities like playgrounds or something that attracts families.
Do you have any other because you have what, 9,000 properties like this? Do you have any properties that are close to college areas? Numbers for the parking ratios? Because we have a lot of colleges and especially Henrietta.
Sure. What would be one? I don't know. Jason, I don't know if you can answer this question. I'm kind of drawing a blank here.
You'd have to unmute.
Can everybody hear me?
We do now, yes.
Hi, this is Jason Kambitsis, President of AR Development. Thank you. I'm actually away right now, so if you hear any feedback, I apologize. Yeah, and so to answer that question, Pittsburgh has one of the highest concentrations of universities in the United States. There are colleges near there. There are also colleges. We're near Brown University, Rhode Island School of Design, when you talk about what's over in Kettle Point. So, we do have these kind of properties that do attract, very similar demographics and similar background of people. So, yeah, we do have that. We also have a community in Toledo, but it's an older community, the same parking ratio, and it's all college students. We have hardly any parking problems at all. And we actually find that college students themselves tend to have either share a car or don't have a car.
Are you going to be Jason, could you
Can you hear me?
Yeah, could you mute for a moment?
Sure.
Thank you. The question I have is this facility that you're building intended to be marketed specifically to college students, or is it just a byproduct of the fact that we're near it?
No, I mean, there's many things that attracted to us to this area. Us marketing to college students was not one of the factors. We're not intending to target that.
With your studies that you do,
I'm sorry, can I answer that question too? Because I'd be able to answer that. College, and I don't want to speak for other student housing developers. We're not that. We stay away from that. We tend to rent for people. Our standard lease is 18 months or longer. So we tend to go for people who want to stay in there. We don't tend to go for college students. You have to upcharge to go less than that. And we really try to stay away from that because you're talking about development that rents beds, and we don't do that. So I just wanted to clarify that if that's an issue.
Thank you. Going back to your parking studies that we've been discussing.
Yeah.
You said that there typically isn't problems, but I'm curious, with the studies that you've done, how many spots tend to be open still once you've reached full occupancy?
So I don't have that number exactly. Unless
I can actually answer that. We tend to see our parking is 1.5 on average regarding how we develop them. Our usage is about 1.2 to 1.3. And I know that everybody thinks everybody has a bunch of cars, but in our communities, they don't. And we don't let people store vehicles there. We don't go and say, well, I have a boat too, I'm going to leave it, or I have a motorhome. We just don't allow that. And so our actual usable parking is about 1.2 to 1.3 at the most. We actually have communities that fall beneath that to 0.98 that we've seen. And so for us as a developer, I know there's always this push and people say, well, you don't want to have the parking. I mean, realistically, if we can't park people, we can't rent to people. And the way it's developed is so that we have the ability to attract people and retain people. So with 1 and 2 bedroom units, we find that this number is more than adequate to meet that. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Are any of these parking spots going to be assigned to specific units, or it's just open, first come, first serve?
We don't assign parking spots to specific units because we don't ever have any problems parking for our residents.
So out of the 9,000 you have
Units.
you don't have any properties that have assigned parking? Not even.
I can answer that. No, we do not. We have no communities that have assigned parking. The way that community is designed, like all the other ones, is that we design buildings so people are close to the building and the parking. You know, we don't have parking where you've got to walk and you've got, oh, that's the bad side of the parking. We do that from a layout perspective, from a convenience perspective, and from a security perspective. But no, we do not have any communities throughout our portfolio that have assigned parking. We've never had to do that.
So you've clearly done your research. You've a lot of data to support the 1.5. Do you build in a bank in case your calculations were wrong in a new area, like your first in New York? What would happen if 1.5, in this case, 1.56 was off and you needed a few more? Do you account for that in the plan?
We do account for that by having those additional 6, but if need be, we could potentially in the future add parking if that became an issue. We have areas that could add parking. They're not as convenient as the ones that do exist. We've done that in other communities, only to find out we've never had to build them.
Yeah, and I would add to that, you know, as Jason said, we're always building in extra. That's why we have the 1.5 parking spaces per unit as our kind of our guideline, because as he said, our communities are using 1.2 to 1.3 spaces per unit. So it's we kind of already have that buffer in there.
Yep.
Are you able to tell me, or us, I should say, what the ratio is there more 2-bedroom apartments to 1-bedroom, or is there more 1-bedroom to 2-bedroom?
Our ratio is 54 1-bedrooms, 48 2-bedrooms. So slightly more 1-bedrooms than 2-bedrooms.
And what's the average square footage of the 2-bedrooms?
Our 2-bedrooms are around 1,000 square feet, 1,100 square feet. 1-bedrooms are around 750.
In the examples you gave, a lot of those are near much larger metropolitan areas and typically have much more robust public transportation systems. Do you, and then maybe I missed it, but do you have an example of something that's much closer to a Rochester metropolitan population? Right now, I think we're at like 1.3 million.
I could answer that. Highland Hills in Cumberland, Rhode Island is actually in a office park that houses CVS. There is no public transportation. So from a standpoint of saying, well, you're car dependent, you're very car dependent there. And Kettle Point in East Providence, although the same proximity as you would have from here to Rochester, has no buses out there. So we tend to work in these, what I like to call tertiary markets. So we work in a smaller metropolitan area. And then also, so we're not into like deep downtown places where there's robust public transportation. And we're also not out in the middle of nowhere. So we like these areas where you can get into a city within 15 minutes. If you look at all of our properties, they're set up in that fashion. So I would say the examples that Emily put up there are pretty spot on as to what we do, and to how they relate to Henrietta regarding the transportation network.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? The measurement. Was there more that you would like to present to us?
I'm happy to present more, or if you feel like we've answered all of your questions, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but.
I do have one question. Well, my last question, I should say. The clubhouse, you mentioned, that you don't have, I mean, you have amenities, but what are the specific amenities of the clubhouse? Is there like a room you can rent?
So in this,
Sorry.
in this community in particular, we would probably have just the management office, a fitness room, and the pool. We have some other communities where we do have like a larger community room where we thought people would rent, but we find out people are not using it. What people really use is the fitness room and the pool. So that's what we're sticking with.
Okay.
Any other questions from board members?
Nope.
Any other questions from any members of the audience? Okay, I think we can close this application. I am gonna ask a question real quick, before I close, I guess. General thoughts, Aaron? John?
I'm fine.
You? Christian? Okay, so with that, we can close this application. But you can.
Right.
Tim, can I ask for your help?
Tim, I'm just erasing what I got.
You have to do it from the other side.
Yep, you give me a minute.
Yep. So we'll close this application. It will take a minute or two. We have some paperwork to adjust here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
very much for your time.
Thank you. You can sing now if you want. No, no one wants. Planning, that's- Okay, planning is gone past.
I'm working.
I mean, thank you. Appreciate it.
Dinner before this.
Hmm?
I should have ate dinner before this.
I did that.
Oh my God.
I'll flip up the coffee.
Which one does that? Like she won't. She's like, oh, I didn't eat since yesterday. It's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. No.
No, it's not. She's still over by me.
Yeah.
Let me go knock and
Did you eat today?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I worked from home today. 4:30 I stopped, ate dinner with my family, jetted to her open house. Left my bag at home, so I had to jet back home. And
Oh,
come
wow.
down here.
You did pretty good.
Yeah,
No tickets?
no,
Good for you.
short drive.
Through the lawns.
Yeah, we gotta get a sitter,
Yeah.
so that way my husband could take to the open house.
Yeah.
So.
Plus, this is before the sheriff's station, so.
If change is right.
They really don't want to do anything else.
You don't have the new courthouse building.
What is a courthouse?
Yeah, it's gonna be the new courthouse.
Okay.
They were originally gonna turn the library into it, but then there was something wrong with the structural and the ducting.
Well, there's more, there's all the
Yeah,
the changes needed to make it work.
yeah, Steve said it just wasn't gonna work.
Solar wasn't working. Just-
Yeah,
Somebody asked me and I had no idea.
it's really surprising, but it's usually more expensive to renovate and repurpose a building than to build now. And it's because of the labor. Yeah,
However, you can get grants depending on
Yeah.
what type of existing
That's what always bothered me about LEED. Like they never gave credit for repurposing of buildings, just new buildings. So if you could build a perfectly great LEED building, but if you tore down a perfectly good building, it didn't count against you.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. You know, there's a sites thing. It's supposed to be the equivalent to LEED, but nobody's really bought into it.
What is it called?
It's called sites. It's basically the site equivalent to LEED for a building.
But it's sites.
I have heard of it. I know it.
It's not really used much.
No, it's not. I've had questions on the applications for that.
I just know every time I go to write specs, I just delete all the LEED stuff because nobody ever wants it from the site.
It's true. We're using spec point now.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to application number ZBA 2023-91 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has duly advertised and held a public hearing, has considered all relevant information, and 3, has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood or community in relation to such variance. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties, as the property owners have significant experience in this type of dwelling and the required parking ratio. 2, the variance cannot be achieved by some other feasible alternative. The research is clear. 1.56 parking spots per rental is the ideal balance of available spots versus minimal imperviable surface. 3, the variance requested is substantial, but the applicants present sufficient data to prove this ratio is appropriate. 4, the variance will not have a negative effect on the physical or environmental conditions. In fact, this ratio minimizes impervious surface. 5, the difficulty related to the variance was self-created, but significant thought and research from the applicants was put into the design. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approve the variance as presented.
I'll second.
Seconded by John. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
That's just for clarity, it's Aaron, Heather, and Beth.
Correct.
The motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. And last on the list that we haven't talked to yet is 2023-092. I'm assuming this is you, David, and what's it, 40 Overland Trail.
Right, David Strumpf, 40 Overland Trail, West Henrietta, New York.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Anything you want to add to your application?
No, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I kind of got ahead of the game. I put the driveway in before I had my variance and I didn't know that that was needed. But no, this is strictly for storage of an RV. And that's it.
Does your property go right to Telephone Road?
Yes. The only
There's
thing
no-
that's behind me is Burger School.
There's no right of way between your property and the road? Do you know the answer to that? Kim?
Utility easement.
Well, there'd be the road, there's still a road right away there, yes.
Yeah, there is.
But no other easement or.
None visible.
I don't believe so.
Nothing shows on the survey, but it is an old survey.
I was gonna say.
Sure.
survey.
So effectively, you're asking for a second driveway. And you're asking for it to be 14 foot wide. I'm no, but the total 33 feet wide, I think is what the request is. One more question for us here, Kevin, do they have to have it paved or is stone adequate?
The zoning is R, so actually. I have to look that up.
Good.
There are some provisions for stone driveways, but the apron, I believe, has to be paved, the right of way area.
I looked it up. It actually, unless it's a historical, what I understood, unless it was a historical, that yes, it has to be paved, which I'm prepared to do.
If he's going to do it, then it's points moot, but
Yeah.
Noted. You also for Kevin, if we do that, if he does that, he can't have a flare would be something extra that we have to talk about.
yeah, well, he's gonna be less than. I don't know how to say it. Within the right of way. Different section of code, you're allowed to be 24 feet.
No matter where it is, not combined for the front and back of the property. Okay,
Yeah, it doesn't say. Section of code that he's coming in for is
the
driveway width. You're allowed 2 driveways at maximum of 30 feet width.
and he's asking for 3.
This is a separate road cut. I would look at that as within that right of way, technically you'd be allowed 24 feet in width.
Good.
I could verify that with the highway superintendent.
I feel like we have to anyways, right?
Well, actually, that telephone road, I don't know, is that the town or is that a county?
It's a county road. I actually also talked to the county today also.
So our highway superintendent has no say. As long as he gets approval from the county. he's
Yeah.
good to go.
Well, actually, the county, what the woman told me today, she said that we go along with what the town says.
One of those.
Oh, boy.
There's a county access permit that you have to acquire from them if it's a county road.
Okay, she didn't mention that. She stated to me what I just said.
Okay.
Because I tried to do as much homework on this as I could. Knowing I had to come in here.
We appreciate that.
That's, well, we can definitely.
Address that
Address
as far
that.
as how to deal with it. Okay, so again, you have an RV, you have already built the spot in place, you cut, I'm gonna call it cut the fence, built a gate. All of these things are in place.
Right. I tried to do it as nice as possible. I mean, I
And
don't
it
know
looks
if you
nice.
went by to look at it, but
And the RV looks nice too.
thank you.
Sure. Are there any questions on this? Anybody? No? Are there any questions from members of the audience? With that, I guess we close this application.
I don't even know how to read it.
What's a 33-foot total driveway? So it's a question. Oh, is there anybody that's opposed to this? Is there anybody? Beth?
No.
So, Ryan isn't driveway. So we need a minute, but we'll close the application and, once he does that, we'll read off the stuff that's required and we'll go from there.
Okay.
I have a question. It doesn't change this, but you said that your neighbors have a similar situation.
2 doors down, the 2 doors to the east of me, they have a garage actually in their backyard. And they have we've been there for what, 23 years, about 23 somewhere. It was there before we moved in. And there is a paved driveway because the garage door points towards Telephone Road. I think what they did was they took the garage that was on the house and made it a family room. So there's no garage at the front of the house. So they created this one in the back. And there's a paved driveway that goes with a gate. It's a chain link. It's a different gate than I got, but it's a gate and goes right up to Telephone Road.
Okay. I was just curious.
All right. I'll type it after we're done.
You can type it now.
No, let's, if you can remember it, do it.
All right. Mr. Chairman, with regards to application ZBA 2023092 for an area variance, I move to approve as follows. Whereas the zoning board has duly advertised and held public hearings, has considered all relevant information, and has considered the potential benefit to the applicant versus the potential detriment to the neighborhood and community. in relation to such variance. Now therefore be it resolved that the zoning board of appeals makes the following findings of fact. The variance will not result in an undesirable change to the neighborhood as the applicant is adding another driveway out to Telephone Road. The variance can be achieved by some other feasible alternative, but the width that's needed for the RV is 33. The variance requested is not substantial. The variance will not have a negative effect on the physical or environmental condition. As per code, the driveway can be put through the back. The difficulty related to the variance was self-created, but the applicant needed parking for his RV and a way to get it out the back. And be it further resolved that based upon the above findings, the zoning board of appeals hereby approves the variance as presented.
I'll second. Oh.
Seconded by Heather. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Your motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
What'd you do to your arm?
Shoulder surgery. Totally self-inflicted. I keep forgetting that I'm not in my 30s anymore. And this is what happens when you do that.
Well, that won't teach you.
No,
Yes.
well, it also helps if you listen to your wife to tell you not to do that.
Oh.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, have a good one.
So we have to reopen or I'm sorry, discuss 080. 080. I feel like he's still here. He's a trooper for this one.
Oh, okay.
So I would like to close the meeting first so that we can have our discussion about this. I'm saying this out loud for his reference. So we can have our discussion about this. We will reopen the meeting in a few minutes after we've discussed this, potentially asking you more questions and or making a decision. So I will close the meeting for a few minutes here at 5 minutes after 9. So we can discuss. So give me some feedback. How do you feel, Christian, about this T-Mobile extra sign?
I'm just trying not to cough at this point.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm still against.
There's so many tonight.
But you're against it strongly.
I'm pretty sure they're gone.
No changing it for the.
I really don't
just
think it's
asking.
necessary.
Dinner is not helping.
I'm just asking. You guys,
The thing is, we did the same type of thing with Green Light. They've got 3. For advertising.
I wasn't here for that.
Yeah.
I feel like we were. It was only, oh, she might have been out.
Oh, out, okay.
I don't know. I feel like it wasn't that long ago.
Oh, it was like a year and a half ago. Yeah.
So your point is you're good with it.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I feel like there is a other feasible alternative that they can come to besides adding the third sign to what they're trying to achieve. I don't think what they're trying to achieve. I mean, yes, it is going to direct them to that entrance, but they can do it a different way, and I don't think it's needed. And it's I mean, it's just to the parking lot, really, at the end of the day.
I agree. That is,
So,
to me, that's the biggest one. It's only the parking lot.
Well, and
Looking for advertising.
it's the only door on the building,
Yeah, I
so
agree too.
that side.
Wait, say it again.
Oh, sorry, it's the only door on the building side, so I find it hard to believe it'd be confusing as to where to go.
And by the sounds of it, I don't think the employees going through the front door.
Well, that's the back door. Again, I'm just making a statement. In my opinion, that is the back door.
in my opinion, it
Not
is,
if you're
yeah.
coming off Clay Road.
Yeah, if you're coming off Clay Road, that's the back road. That's the back door.
To this parking lot.
Is on the, I would guess it would be the east, northeast side. This is the entrance.
There's two, if you will, main entrances, one off of each large parking area, one on the east and one on the west.
There's an entrance on the east.
Yes.
Where's that from?
Well, entrance to the building.
Oh,
So you come
I'm
off
sorry.
of Clay.
Parking
drive
lot
to
is what I'm asking.
Parking lot,
I should say,
yes.
Yeah.
so an entrance into the building off the parking lot. Is there an entrance to the parking lot on the east side?
East, yes.
Yeah.
How-
There's an entrance
I'm-
facing each large park.
I'm asking the wrong question.
Okay. There's no.
How did you get into the parking lot from the
Clay.
east?
From Clay.
Only from Clay?
From
Yeah.
the west, you drive in
That's my
towards that building, And
So
then,
there's only, my point is that there's only one entrance to the parking lots
correct,
from the road,
correct.
from the road. The entrances to the building are from multiple directions within the parking lots.
Right.
Correct.
Okay,
But you're only going to see the west of the building coming at it from the road. Not the
It's-
east.
say it.
Clearly that the two T-Mobile signs, one faces east. The other one faces 390 to the south, so they're clearly advertising signs to 390 from either direction.
Mhm.
The
Yes,
T is marking their west entrance. That's,
Which is the way, which is the way that people would probably walk in.
Instead of having a monument sign to direct traffic into the, what the building is. I mean,
there's a main corridor, if you will, between, at the middle of the building, with those two main entrances, west and east.
Mhm.
It's kind of like you're going to use both of them. Obviously, the parking lots are a similar size, so.
bless you. Well, I think the point that the board is saying, Kevin, is that there's two little back entrances, back. It looks like 390 side entrances from the east side. They look like utility type entrances. There's one major entrance, which they are putting a sign over, or they're asking to put a sign over. And the rest of it is, as Aaron indicated, is like, there's no more doors, if I'm looking at it right. It's the main one, and in the back corner, there's a couple little ones, I'm sure, for access to whatever, utilities
Mhm.
maybe. I guess we could probably see that. But the point is, I think the point that Aaron made, and I think it's a valid point. It's a generator pad in the back. I don't think it's gonna be too hard to figure out that that is an entrance. And their comments, I mean, they should really just say, we're trying to advertise in every direction. Their testimony is not that. It's convenience to coming into the facility is their testimony.
Also considering they have a loading dock there for call center.
Well, there's probably equipment.
Well, they probably got equipment. I mean, maybe.
I don't
they
think
ship-
that's-
Maybe they ship product out of there. Who knows?
No, there's
Could
no,
be phone.
there's no loading dock. There's,
They have a
It's a
truck.
generator, it
there's a,
says.
where the generator,
Says
there
scissor
is,
lift.
yes, you're right. There is one small, it's not really.
It's just
that
a
grade.
building,
It's not really a loading dock, it's
Mhm.
actually at grade.
but it's just more like building access for drop offs.
Yeah, but
Of
again,
what?
this is.
Well,
the
just
main
regular
entrance
mail and stuff, I
To
imagine.
the east.
Listen, when we were at computer
That
equipment,
helps.
other things that come in, I don't think it's abnormal to have a loading
Yeah,
area.
or no. Okay,
I don't think that's
Better
weird.
if this thing can keep dying.
I know.
If they're gonna have 1,000 people working there,
A shift.
it,
Maybe that's.
it can't be 1,000 a shift. Is that what they said?
I think they said 1,000 total,
Thousand.
1,000 total.
so it won't be 1,000,
300 people at a time.
it'll
but-
be
And they're running 24 hours.
100 or
whatever the
Maybe they.
requirements are.
day shift had, well, my building was 300 at the most on days. Just shy of 200 on evenings on a good day
Unless,
and 75 and less on the overnight shift, so. And that's a 24/7 call contact center.
similar, different
Similar,
products.
similar, but not, yeah, different product, but yeah.
There's other places that have loading decks.
Where's
Yeah,
this
yeah,
at?
That was 80 feet.
I was
The one-
in Park
the one
Drive,
concern-
that had a.
Oh,
So-
One concern I had
And
with
one
which my
item.
wife mentioned when I showed her this,
So you didn't
she
know,
worked for Verizon.
yeah.
And
but it was
there
there.
were times when people would
There's
show
one
up thinking
sign.
that it was a
Verizon
retail.
store.
Yeah, I
a
know, I
Verizon
can't find it
store.
over One
I
side.
wonder if people
I
would
mean-
come in and
Yeah,
say,
it's-
hey, look, there's T-Mobile, let me stop in there and see if I can get a new
Show
phone.
that both buildings were both there.
So, and it's
No.
not a center that should be really
Hmm.
marked as, yeah,
Retail.
it's a very important part of T-Mobile, but it shouldn't be a part that's advertised for the public to be going to. It's for people to go to work for them.
The unfortunate part is you don't have anybody from T-Mobile. You
That's the
have a
thing too, yes,
representative
I
for
feel
the
bad
sign.
for the sign person, because he doesn't,
He doesn't know their
he
business.
doesn't have the answers, and it's not like it's not his, I mean. If we had a representative from T-Mobile on the phone or in person. That would be a much better, because that would look, and I'm, you know, but they're not.
I understand. Say it again.
They have their sign at the old Sutherland building on Jefferson Road.
Is this replacing that?
Did they have it on the side?
That's a temporary sign for recruiting for this facility.
So that's not gonna stay there.
No.
But did Sutherland have one on the side that faces 390?
I don't know the answer.
No,
I don't
because the,
remember.
because the,
Well, I know
Uh-uh.
it was Staples and then it went into Napa, but what I'm
Right.
saying is they could have put one on that side.
but Restaurant Depot we did.
But it's a retail location versus a call center.
Are we, Tim, do you have any thoughts out loud?
I'm fine with it. To me, it's a large building. It's only 3 of 4 sides to have signage. When you look at the scale of it, it's modest relative to the size. I think perhaps the gentleman from the sign company doesn't have the full story, can't really represent the intent of the company. To me, signage on a wall is advertising, almost always. And if they feel that demonstrating another sign to the expressway is valuable, then I think it's fair. It's tasteful, in my opinion. The other thing is, independent of the activities inside, being employees in a call center, to me, signage is advertising, and they're not advertising to employees, I think. I think they're advertising to passerbys and anyone else who happens to see the sign.
And that in and of itself is not the purpose of the signage in testimony. It was to direct employees to the building.
Right, that's why I suspect that the gentleman from the sign company maybe doesn't have the full story.
Is it
Except
employees
for
or new
the,
employees?
The letter.
except for the uploaded letter. Which clearly.
And what is his?
Which was sent to me and then I forwarded, I
which was
shared
very
with,
good that you shared.
well, yeah, exactly, but I'm saying it
Wait, there's
was.
another uploaded support letter too.
the
Oh, yeah,
tone of
here
the
it is.
letter.
How did that come to you? You know him?
I don't know, I don't know him. I guess he knows someone I know.
He references.
And one of the
Okay.
town board members
Rick
actually
Page,
gave him
Rick.
my number,
Yeah,
or my
yeah.
email address, that is. So when I received it, I forwarded it on to the rest of the board, but that's.
And in his letter, he says, we're looking to place a third sign into the building to increase visibility. This will in part be significant help in our effort to hire up to 1,000 employees on site, which I'm
Use it
excited
for
to hear.
advertising.
So he's using it as a billboard of T-Mobile, but they're not hiring at that location in the sense of you can't walk to that location and put your application in.
Okay.
Correct.
So at Verizon, could you have walked in when it was over here in Calkins Road? Could you have walked in and applied for a job right there?
You know, that's a really good question because I don't know that Verizon ever really advertised where their call centers were outside of. I mean, they could have.
They used to have a lot of signage on that.
center in
My wife says that people were across
They were-
their
Or
parking
if
lot.
buildings.
That whole
Now it's
office
paychecks.
park was one Verizon.
That was
Oh,
all.
I had
Not
no
all.
idea.
No.
Well, not all of it, but
Hmm.
the majority of it turned into, and then it went to paychecks and now everybody works from home.
That was abrupt.
So people got, when they're on their break in the parking lot, people would walk up and say, hey, where's the store? Where do I
Right.
go to-" And I was
You
like,
know, this isn't a store, it's a call center, so
Right.
should they be advertising T-Mobile the way that they are?
What- Tim, we worked there forever. Did we see Verizon signs there?
Don't recall.
I don't recall either. I've been teetering back and forth, but to be honest, I think I'm on board with what Tim says. I don't know if I love it, but I don't hate it. And to be honest, they're a big part. I mean, 1,000 jobs in the community, visibility to that, I don't think is bad. I also, the perpetuity component of this,
Play a factor.
it should play a factor. When I think through it, I don't anticipate it being anything that's super negative, like I could see at some other locations personally. And if they were to leave this location down the road, hopefully no time soon, but if they were to leave this location down the road and it got broken up into smaller subset, like some of the other stuff around it, those signs would be there anyways. They would end up getting the right to have those signs, I think. If it's broken up in physical interior dimensions.
How many signs
What?
did the Amazon building have?
I don't know the answer. You know, Amazon building,
Did that have signs on all sides?
is it still there?
No, it's up for rent.
They, I don't think they even advertise.
No,
that.
they never
They-
advertise that it was
Amazon doesn't really advertise for that, there's nothing in town that has Amazon on it. I don't, that I.
No,
There's never anything.
I don't recall anything, so.
And some of their drivers at the heyday of that were all contracted.
That makes sense. Christian, you're on the no side. I'm asking.
No side.
Beth's on the no side too. Yes,
Fine with it.
so 1, 2.
No.
No. Okay, so this isn't, good. Is there anything that anybody has adjustments to or other things that would change anybody's mind? Valid questions. The answer can be no.
Maybe if you had a retail store that was attached to it.
Okay. Similar boat?
Maybe they are.
Well, they said they're not. Anything that would change your guys' opinion? And the answer can be no, I'm just.
So we're good with 2 signs.
Yeah.
If they want to put the 1 sign on the
Wait,
390 sign.
you don't have to be good with 2 signs. It's allowed.
But they could put that 1 sign on the 390 sign, because that's where they want the big.
They're gonna do
front
that.
sound.
You wanna take the T sign down, and just put your 2 T-Mobile signs, they can do that.
So,
I mean, they could have the one on 390 sign that says T-Mobile.
Yep.
Move the T.
Yeah, they could have T-Mobile on the east and the south. The T by itself, where they're proposing that one.
Could be T-Mobile.
Well,
Could be
I mean,
two
I'm
ways.
just saying is the one facing west is only, no one's gonna see it except for the employees, so who cares?
Right.
Not
So
that I
they
have
can
a
still-
voter opinion, but it's my opinion, but. So in other words, they're under the square footage, even with all 3 of these signs.
I think you would, this is the building that's already done, right?
Yeah,
mhm.
it's on Google already, if you can see.
You
it's
see the,
390.
you see the west side when you're driving east. Right, or I guess it's north on
Probably
390.
could,
Is
but
that
again,
north? It's north.
for the most part, it's facing. The road. their
Your
entrance
opinion
road.
is the east side would be more beneficial, would be a better benefit for them.
Well, that's the sign that they're asking for,
I understand, but they could cancel
they
the
could
west
can-
side.
Absolutely can't, yeah, they could,
I
right,
mean, if it's denied, they can still achieve their
they got that,
advertisement.
But they are still under the.
Size.
Required size.
This building's huge.
Oh, I know, it's huge.
Well, it requires, the size isn't the issue.
you're
So-
right. You could see the T, I'm looking at the buildings actually on Google, so you can see it from 390. I'm sure you'll be able to see that T from heading east on 390.
Like bright pink. tea.
But they also have those stone barriers up to their parking lot. Between 390 and the property, but it does open up at the building. So yes, you could see 2 signs. 2 of the signs in either direction you're traveling. You're not gonna see one of them because it'll be behind you.
It's definitely there. I'm not saying it's on the map. I'm saying it's definitely there. It's not on this.
It's got the street view as well on Google.
Oh,
This picture was taken September.
yeah. There it is.
But everybody drives 80 miles.
I mean,
an
that's
hour, so
huge.
You're gonna see it for about a second.
That's huge. I think,
I raise my hand?
Not just yet.
not yet, sorry.
Oh, not yet.
We'll get back to you once we open the meeting. We have to have this this way until we're done.
To close discussion.
To close discussion, I mean. So I do see a substantial face of that on the, I guess it's the westmost side. Obviously, the southmost side, which is the 390 side. Obviously there. There's a lot of trees there. Is there a dog here?
Right here, we have a kennel in the back.
Yeah.
We have a kennel?
Yeah, there's a dog kennel.
That part of animal control.
Dog control has a shed out back for
Oh, I didn't
holding
realize that.
strays.
They don't put them in Suburban anymore?
Nobody takes them.
Huh?
Nobody takes them anymore.
Wow.
Yep.
So, yeah. This is a painful process going through this. I mean, yeah. I see why they want it. I don't think it's bad, but I don't think we have a vote for it, so I think we gotta hear if the applicant has any more things to say, but I think we open it and.
Yeah, I think to change my or my decision, I should say, I would have to see more concrete evidence of this being the only alternative. If there's any other feasible alternative, I would like to see it, 'cause I believe there is.
What do you think the feasible alternatives are?
Well, I mean, there's directional signs. They could,
Oh, you're saying just put an entrance sign or something.
there's other ways to do it. So they would have to show like, okay, well, you can't do it this way. That'd probably be the only way. I would change my answer.
Okay. And
Directional signs would not be able to have any advertisements on it, so
it could be pink.
could be pink.
It could
Say
be,
employees this way.
Could be a T sign.
no, I don't know.
No, T.
Oh.
Directional sign. Splitting hairs there.
Okay, so, okay, so this does not have the vote since we stand, so does anybody have a problem with reopening the meeting and closing and figuring this out? Okay, so at 9:25, I'm reopening the meeting. We can ask questions. The applicant, Scott, I believe you've heard what we're saying. Please give us some feedback on what you've been hearing.
Okay. Well, if I was a representative of T-Mobile.
You are.
Rather than sign guy, I guess I'd point out what it all has already been pointed out in that they do not exceed the square footage allowed for a building. And that square footage, I believe, is 250 square foot, applies to even a much smaller building. So they're within the square footage for these 3 signs they requested. Secondly, is the most important thing is that the architects and T-Mobile management designed the signage as proposed to properly brand the building with their corporate identity. And of course, a secondary benefit is the advertising potential they will gain from them. So, I mean, it's important. This is a huge building. You look at this building from the west to the east without a sign on it. What do you got? You got a big gray building. Okay. I mean, this is their corporate identity. This is very tastefully done. This request for a sign by the architects, T-Mobile. They are designers. They are trained and studied in proposing these things. So aesthetically, I think it's beautiful, and there's small signs. So I guess that's just my argument. That's all I close with. It's just saying that they're just trying to properly brand and identify the building. Aesthetically, it looks much nicer with these logos on the building. So I ask that it be approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Who has this? Aaron, are you in the middle of?
Yeah, I just need a minute to wrap this up.
Guys in the middle of song.
Look at them. I thought you were joking about the basketball court.
I was not joking, it's in there.
Oh,
This theater.
See?
this
They're
is
supposed
their
to have a game
benefits.
room, which I think they took out. That's the, I mean, they're trying to market the, they've got a bunch of. Employees.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Nope.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
There's an issue that's gotta be taken care of. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Let's see.
Aaron, make sure when you're doing this, that each one of the entity, each one of the findings of fact are thorough.
Yeah, it's,
Can you hear-
if it's okay, I'd like somebody to glance.
I'm gonna take a
Yeah.
peek at it.
Camera on you.
This one for us, like, to me, it doesn't really do that, so I can't,
Mhm.
you know, use that, but here, you know, this is the bigger one.
Um, um, and B. In testimony, you can say like in testimony, they stated that, it is, the sole purpose of the signage is for, to get direct employees, whereas, these alternatives that can,
Provided to show there is not an alternative to achieve the objectives of the third wall sign. In testimony, the sole purpose of the sign is to direct employees. However,
other feasible alternatives to achieve this method.
however, however, it is meant to wear.
Oh, sorry. Oh, most things do.
This is why I hate these things. There alternatives to achieve. I'm gonna say the variance is not substantial, or is substantial, and requested as being for an additional wall sign. The variance is not seen to have a negative. I don't see that. That's difficulty of self variance to objective that is desired by the owner.
Yeah.
Let's say,
See if he.
Oh, yeah, see if you wanna. I mean, I tried, like, this is the biggest reason, I think. This is it.
he also, when we opened it back up, he said it was for sole purpose isn't just to direct.
There you go.
I'm not sure.
Well, I can say and brand, or I can say the purpose.
But what's a feasible alternative branding?
Right.
Do you really think a third wall sign or a building that large is substantial?
Opens up to 390 where there's already another space. Wall 390 as well.
Only that I used to only.
Point to where though? which one of these factors to that vote is.
The feasible alternative. Because they're.
Yeah, I think it would have to go on number 2 if nothing else.
For me.
And then this, maybe this is argumentative because number 3 is, well, what is substantial? We define it.
Yeah. And I just.
I mean, my interpretation of the board's objection is this one. Yeah.
Maybe you want to show it to Bob also. I mean, I think it's walking a fine line. I know people are asking, why do they want it? But I mean, looking at these factors right here, for a building that size, I don't roll them. That's my opinion.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
You might want to read it. I mean, I look at those factors. And I think the only thing that you can say is that they haven't proposed an alternative, but for the rest of them, I don't think it's substantial. I put it aside for a building that size, changes anything related.
It doesn't change the character of the neighborhood because it's an industrial or commercial area.
But I don't vote, but that's fine.
You want to take a peek at it, please, Beth? Because I feel I would be in the positive here. I want to be sure that we cover your vote, your comments and concerns.
This one's questionable, but I think our main argument is this one.
You know, Eric, me? I was gonna vote positive. I'm positive. But we have 3 to 4, so it's not over.
I have it.
I mean, again, that's why I'm asking them to do it, because to me, I'm not voting that side. I think it's more. But
the only thing that we could maybe object to is alternative, but stated
Maybe it's a. Please free the time, so. The substantial interest to be made additional laws.
Yeah, and for a building that size.
that's what I said. So. Guys.
Right.
Aaron and Beth. Okay.
That's a retail store.
And it's tiny though. Make sure when you're typing this, if it's going what I anticipate, that it is negatives outweigh the positives.
Right.
Yeah.
And.
Oh, that's a good. Guys, another factor that Eric just said, which is absolutely true. We could table this for another month for an actual representative of the company to come in.
It might be good too, because Tim's not here anymore.
Would you change your opinion
I'm willing to listen to more testimony.
from
Yeah.
from a representative of the company?
Yes.
I would be open to hearing what they say.
Okay, so
I
One-
hear what you're saying.
So, one option here, just to be very transparent with what's happening here, there's definitely not, I don't feel that your testimony has stated its case adequately to make us feel positive and ask for, and give this a positive approval here, to give it an approval, I should say. What we're going through here is making sure that we're sort of on the fence, and it's a bit of a problem. What I suggest is tabling this till next month and having a representative from T-Mobile here, not just you, who's someone who is interested in making the sign, and I appreciate that, but someone who wants to give us the marketing the market research, the other things that go along with this, that may have an ability to change some of the members' decision.
Thank you.
You have an ability as the representative for T-Mobile right now to say that you're willing to table it. You also have an ability to say you're willing to withdraw it, or you have the ability to accept what we're about to give you as an answer.
And then we add.
If you accept what we give you as an answer and it's negative, which is what the outcome is going to be, meaning declined, then you will not be able to bring it back for the same request. So it doesn't give you a lot of choices, but it does give you a choice. Do you feel that you would like to table this till next month and have a representative?
I will have to table it. Yes, it will have to be tabled. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, I would like to table this application till next month, where we will get additional testimony from other members of the T-Mobile staff and or yourself if you have more to bring on. I would encourage you to let them know what we talked about and have them watch the meeting on YouTube so they can understand what we talked about. And with that, I would like to, that's the end of this meeting. So I'd like to close this meeting at 9:40. So we will close this meeting and we will table this till next month. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.